Greetings. Today I'm going to show you how to install Trax 2 on Windows 10 properly. So first start by inserting the disk into our CD drive. Now if you have Windows set to not install automatically when you put the disk in, we will need to go to the folders and then go to that drive. So we go down and we look for our DVD drive. Inside that drive, you're going to see the files for Trax 2. We want to run the setup application. Double click here, and that will begin the application install. We tell it OK. It tells you can't install the system files if they're running, which is true with any program. So we're going to go ahead and install because Trax is not yet on this system. It gives you an opportunity to change where you put Trax. So if you don't like the folder that we built for Trax, you can change it. Or if you're installing a second or third copy, you can change the directory and play with the program that way. But we're going to install it where it was supposed to be put so that when we do the update, it will automatically put it in there. We can also change our program group and our folder for which file group it goes into, but we're going to leave it just as it is and let it install. Now as it's installing, it's going to find some files on your computer that when I wrote Trax, these files were not part of everybody's system. Microsoft said, well, these files are needed, so we'll put them on the system as needed to save disk space. But nowadays, these files are on your system already, and they are newer than the ones that were on the disk when it was created from Windows XP. So it's asking, do you want to keep your version of that file? We definitely want to keep your version. We do not want to say no or no to all. This can mess up your Windows system because these are Windows files, not Trax files. So always say yes to each of these file requests to change the Windows system files. You do not want to install these on Windows 10 or Windows 8.1 or Windows 7. It's best if it gives you this option that you keep your current files, because they're likely to be more updated than the ones that we just installed or would have. Once you're done, Trax 2 is now installed. We can go ahead and go to Start. There we go. We can click on Run. The program starts, and it gives us this information about logging in. And you notice how fast that went. That went that fast because when I wrote it in Windows XP, computers were quite a bit slower. This tells you how to log in. We're going to go ahead and set up a system. We tell it, yes, we've read it. We're going to set up our lock company. We can put in our company address. We can put in our phone number. You can put in a memo for printing, on reports and such. Like a slogan or whatever you like. We can change the image that will print on reports. If you have your own company logo, you can browse for that here and change the image that gets printed on reports. And this can all be changed at a later time. You don't need to fill this in at this time if you don't want to, but we do. If you're running a large facility that has a key issuing requirements, you can type those requirements here and have them printed on your key issuing reports. Once you're done, you can save the information and we're ready to log in. The administrator is the first account, and password is the password. And so we log in. We're not going to activate the automatic log off at this time. And we're ready to create our first master key system. We'll call this one First Street Demo. And we can put in an address if we like. We can put in our lock manufacturer, what company brand we're going to install, or what brand locks are on this particular address. So this time we're going to use Schlage. And when we create a lock system like this for the first time, it gives us the opportunity to enter our PIN numbers. So if we were going to enter Schlage, we'd start with 0.165, then 0.180, then 0.195, then 0.210, 0.225, and then 0.240, and then 0.255, and 0.270. And when you do this, this allows us to actually see the pin sizes on our pinning charts when they get printed. Then we want to do our top pins or wafer pin sizes. So we've got a 0.15 for our minimum, 0.030, 0.045, 0.060. And this is because you may be using a 0.3 increment pinning kit. And so you might want to use the proper pin sizes for Schlage based on the 3-point pinning system. So that's why I left this all for you to enter. So you can even create a custom pinning for a standard key system. Say you want to create a new Schlage system that only uses 7 cuts but still ranges the full 165 to 300 range but stops at 7. You could do that. You could create your own pinning depths and create a custom system using standard names and such. I sure spell terrible when I'm trying to talk. So Schlage. So we're going to save this. Finish this off here though. 0.075, 0.090, 0.105, 0.120, and 0.135. So there's our complete Schlage system layout using a 0.5 system. So now we're ready to go. We can choose our minimum and maximum pin sizes. So say we want to create a system that has no zeros in it. We can do that. Say we don't want zeros or ones. We can start with a 2. All right, same with the 9. We can make it a 7. Of course, we're not going to get a very large system that way. And if we don't need a large system, say you're master keying only 10 locks, you might do it this way. It cuts down on the security holes within the system, as there will be no 1s or 0s or no 8s or 9s. But preferably, you should use a 1 to 9 for your best possible system. Gives you the greatest range of options. Or 0 to 9 would, but I prefer to leave zeros out of my master key systems. But you can use them. Then we choose the number of pins, the safety factor, and the increment. Whether we're using a standard, an angled system like left, right, forward, back, you can put those values here. Or an IC Core 23 system where you're pinning a removable core and you need 2 different shear lines. This would be the control shear line. Has nothing to do with your master. Doesn't matter what numbers you use here. It will not affect the master system at all. So down here, ready to create our master key system. We can either enter our own numbers and the system will show us the number of changes we're going to get per page and the number of pages, and then here the total number of change keys. So we're going to go ahead and click at random a few times, and you can see that it does change the total number you can get depending on what your master key pattern is. So choosing your master key can make a difference how many change patterns a system will be capable of creating that are usable, that are within the safety factor. So we're going to go ahead and create. And so our first demo is ready to go and we're ready to open. But if we go to help or press F1, which I'm pressing F1, we get a web page telling us error opening help in Windows-based programs. Features not included or help not supported. So we can see here and read this whole document and find out what Windows did and why they took out the old help system. Basically, there's a security flaw in the original system that if you download a help file from a third-party website, that help file could corrupt your system in the old Windows XP style help systems. So we need to upgrade Trax to Windows 10. So to do that, we want to exit the program, and then we want to go to the internet and go to thekeywizard.com. Type thekeywizard.com, press enter, and here we go. So you can scroll down here and you can see, you can look at screenshots of Trax, you can download the Trax demo, you can purchase Trax, and you can download the Trax update. This update is just for Trax, the original version. It does not update it to Windows 10. Scroll on down the screen and we get to Trax 2. Again, we can screenshots, we can download the demonstration version, we can purchase Trax, and we can purchase Trax 2 site license. And that's all great, but that's not what we're interested in. We've already got Trax 2. We're ready to update it. So we're going to go down here to download the Trax 2 update. It explains here why we have to update, which if you didn't read the other page, this makes it a lot shorter. So we're going to download the Trax 2 update, and down here in the left, once it's finished, we're going to click Open File, and we're going to double click again on Setup. So now we're installing Trax 2 update. Tell it yes. This time we're just going to tell it yes. If you didn't change where it was originally installed, click the button. It's much quicker because it's just an update. Now we're completed successfully and we're ready to close out this. We don't need the internet anymore, and we're ready to go to run Trax 2. As you can see, I slowed down the little animation a bit so that it runs in Windows 10 without jumping off the screen. But, you know, if you get tired of it, I don't know, I'm sorry. So now we're ready to log in. And again, it's administrator and password. We're not going to use the auto log off. And as you can see, we have our First Street demo ready to open and go on, and everything's just as we left it from Trax 2 original version. But now we can press F1 and we get the Trax help system. We can enlarge this to make it easier to read. So we can now go through and learn all about Trax 2's features. Started the introduction and go through and learn how to use Trax. So there you go. That's the update to Trax 2. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the message section. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for choosing the Key Wizard.